Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We're joined again today by the ladies from One Tree Yoga, Alison Tigges and Gabe Hopp, joining us here live on the show, both on the podcast and Zoomcast as well. We're here talking about their studio in Omaha, Nebraska, but also that One Tree Yoga is worldwide, virtual, and clearly beneficial to so many people. So let's welcome the owners of One Tree Yoga. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy Valentine's Day. It's a day
Yeah,
of love,
same. Thank
loving
you.
yourself, loving others, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Self-care all the way.
Great. And would you mind, I guess, filling us in a little bit, Gabe, Alison, about One Tree Yoga, your services, what you have to offer? And as always, I'm sure we're going to get to another great conversation today about yoga itself.
Absolutely. So we are based in Omaha, Nebraska. We've got 2 studios in Omaha, but as Jill has said, we are online. Almost all of our non-hot classes are available via Zoom. We also have a robust YouTube channel. It's at One Tree Yoga. That's ONE, One Tree Yoga. We have tons of videos of varying lengths and challenge levels. And what am I missing, Alison? Anything?
No, I think you covered it. We're kind of all over.
We're on the social medias too, One Tree Yoga.
Yeah, onetreeyoga.com is the website. And also you have your YouTube channel. What else did you want to share particular?
Yeah, social media. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then of course our classes on Zoom or in person from our website.
Perfect. All right. Today, on this day of love and self-care, we're going to talk about some myths and misconceptions about yoga. And again, One Tree Yoga, that's the actual handle on Instagram. I just made sure. I thought it was an underscore. My apologies.
Oh,
But
no.
go to Instagram or check them out on the website, and let's get started. So what are some of the myths and misconceptions about yoga? One in particular I know I've heard about, and something that I used to be is flexible. I'm not anymore. So do you have to be flexible to do yoga?
Such a good question. So yeah, we wanted to take some time today to just sort of dispel some of the myths, some of the things that like keep people away from practice, just to convince anybody who's holding out because of something they've seen on social media or something that they've heard. So do I have to be flexible to do yoga? I think this one almost makes me laugh a little bit. Like that's kind of the point of yoga. So we are here to help with that, right? So you don't have to be any specific level of flexible in order to come to class. If you have a skilled teacher, and we are very skilled teachers, all of our teachers are top notch, they're going to be able to meet you where you're at your level of flexibility. And there are so many styles and poses of yoga that are like super accessible, that are, basic level poses. And these are poses that we do all the time, even in more advanced classes, because they're the building blocks of yoga. And so if you are someone who is not flexible, come to yoga because it will help make you more flexible. And there are tons of props that can help you in certain poses. So for as an example, like if you're someone with really tight hamstrings, right? You can't comfortably straighten your leg. We have straps. So we'll lay on the back, we'll take a leg up in the air, we'll use a strap to lengthen the arm. So you get the same experience, but it's just more accessible. Same thing with blocks. We come into a lunge and the floor feels super far away from you. Well, we put the hands up on blocks to bring the floor up to you, right? So it's all about like, how can we make this accessible for everyone?
Awesome.
If you feel nervous about your flexibility, you can always start at the basic level. So start at a beginner's class. Those classes are designed for people who are tight, who've never done this before. We have a great beginner series that's available online as a package, and you can do it at your own pace, and you can do it as many times as you want. Such a great way to start with the flexibility piece.
Awesome. Alison, do you want to add to that?
I mean, I think you covered it. It's sort of it's like anything. When you're new, I think we get
Crusty.
nervous.
You totally
Yeah,
nervous.
or
I'm
and
sitting
we
here moving
don't
my hamstrings, but I'm still in that cast of my legs. So
that
I'm like
poor
sitting here.
boot.
I'm like trying. I took the boot off. I have it wrapped today because
Oh,
it's
you have a
hurting. But
cast.
well,
Okay.
I'm using I haven't used the hamstrings in a while, and they're
Yeah.
very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not alone, right? Like most people,
Yeah.
we sit a lot. We have tight hips and
Mhm.
hamstrings, and I think it's kind of like anything. We want to be good at something right away, and
Yep.
so we're less likely to try something if we don't think we're going to be good at it. But the room
True.
is not full of a bunch of bendy people, I promise. And so
I love it. Bendy
you
people.
just
Yes.
you just come and do the best you can, and like Gabe said, hopefully the teacher is well versed and can kind of help you out, and that's what we're there to do.
Awesome. Well,
One of our teachers has a great analogy that I wanted to share. She says, like, you would never start piano lessons and say, like, well, I can't go to piano because I don't know how to play the piano. Like, I can't take lessons because I don't know how to do it.
yeah. Yeah.
Same thing.
Well, what about some people who may be intimidated because there's a lot of what you call, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, but I heard about yogis and it's like you're part of an exclusive club. I'm a yogi.
Club, right?
And it's like you feel like exclusive, like it's inclusive and you feel like excluded. Like I'm not a yogi. Is it like some type of cult? Is it some type of like
Yeah.
religion? What?
Yeah, sure. It's a fair question, and we hear it a lot that like we get this reputation that it's sort of like you're either in or you're out, and
Mhm.
that is not the point. Now, I obviously can't speak for everybody. I'm sure
Of
like
course.
anything, there's probably strange groups out there, but we really do want to make it inclusive for everyone. If you step foot in our studio, you will see all kinds of people, all ages of people, all shapes, all sizes, gender, everything. So we really do believe it's for everybody, and the idea is that it's a community. Like we come together,
Yeah.
like-minded people, and we're all kind of there to better ourselves or to practice self-care, all of these things. And so that's what's really great about it. So it builds community, but the word like cult or club, I always kind of like cringe a little bit. Like, no, it's not really like that at all. It gets this bad reputation. So yeah, anyone can be in our cool yoga community. That's for everyone.
Good. So it really is all inclusive. And like you mentioned before, from beginners to experience, don't be intimidated. There's something for everyone. Um, Good to know. I was worried. I thought it was like something I was missing out on. Like I'm not part of the yogi group. So
Yeah, we're
if
not
if
that
I
cool.
take a class, can I become part of the yogi group? I mean, right?
Exactly. If you're
Of
in
course.
class, you're a yogi.
You're a
Good.
yogi. Yep. You take a yoga class, you're official.
Got it. And then there's people that, like me, I make a lot of excuses about my time. But then people also say, well, I don't have the time. Is that just an excuse? Maybe they should try it before they say it. Come on, right? We talked all about all the benefits of yoga.
An excuse. Yeah. So, we all have a limited amount of time, right? And like as small business owners, people who work, people who are parents, like it's so hard to fit it all in. 100% we're with you. But if you prioritize it, you will make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there are so many ways to practice. So, not everybody can be in class 3 times a week for 75 minutes. We absolutely understand that. And I always tell people, like, they say, like, well, I can only come once a month. Like, great. You can be here once a month. Like that's fine. Or I can only come once a week, or I can only come twice a year. Like whatever amount you can be there will benefit you. I will say the more regularity you come with, the more benefits you will receive, the quicker you will progress along the path. But literally any amount that you can put in is beneficial. We also have, like, on our YouTube channel, we have tons of super short practices, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You can do them from the comfort of your living room. You can do them once the kids are in bed, and you've got, half an hour before it's time for you to go to bed. Like squeeze it in where you can, and prioritize it. If it's important to you, make the time for it.
Got it. And I agree with that because you talked about all the benefits. Is that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
There's so much to our health and to our body, and let alone flexibility, that it could help with. And even just the whole meditation process of our mindset and putting us in a better place. And some relaxation can do not just ourselves, but others around us good, especially us as parents and our children, that we sometimes get frustrated and lose it on them. What about someone who also says, well, I do this type of exercise. I don't need that,
Sure. Yeah, I can relate to that. I come from a pretty athletic background, and I like to do all different kinds of fitness. And I think, so I'm kind of in like this gym world as well, where a lot of people are like, wait, you teach yoga, but you like come here to the
You,
gym. I'm like,
you
yeah,
wait, so
like do all the things. But I think often we sort of see yoga as like, well, it's just an exercise. So as long as I'm doing some exercise, then I don't need to do yoga. And while sure, like please do all the exercise, like go run, walk, lift weights, do all the things. I will always advocate for that. Yoga is really a complement to everything, to our whole life,
yeah.
really. And so, people that I know, my weightlifter friends, I'm like, this will actually help you improve your weightlifting technique. You'll have more flexibility, you'll have more mobility to be able to squat deeper and, lift your arms overhead and straighten your arms more, and have sort of a lot more action that you maybe wouldn't otherwise have, and be a little bit less tight. And I think that goes for any sort of other physical activity. I used to run a lot. I don't really as much anymore, but when I was training for different races, I was always sort of doing yoga in conjunction with that, and I think it helped so much, like reduce injury and kind of just keep my body a little bit more mobile while I was doing that. So I tell people, bring it into your other fitness. And like Gabe said, we only have so much time, and so a little bit will go a long way. Like you go to one yoga class a week, and then you also get ideas for like, okay, what are some of the things I can do at home while I'm sitting around watching TV at night that are gonna, help me while I'm training for this race, or while I'm, practicing my weightlifting, or whatever the case may be. It's really a complement to that. I also think it teaches the sort of mental capacity that we need to do any sort of physical fitness or physical activity. There's sort of a focus and an intensity there that I think yoga can kind of help maintain some calm and breathing techniques and all of that. So I really think it works well with whatever you're doing.
All right. And have you heard the one where they say yoga is really for those young bendy women?
Sure have. Sure have.
Again,
Well,
it's intimidating to see someone young and bendy. I get it. I get it. We're getting
For
older, but
sure.
yeah.
you look at social media, if you were to search yoga on Instagram, what you would
Mhm.
see is mostly young, bendy women in crazy poses. And so it's hard not to think that that's the case. So this one is interesting because the yoga as we kind of know it today, it's called hatha yoga. Hatha means like poses.
Okay.
It was really developed for 13-year-old boys in India. So like super
Really?
skinny,
For boys in India?
tons of energy boys in India. They're boys who like lived together in a house or in a, I'm not sure exactly, like in an orphanage situation or a school situation. And the yoga was designed to like get their wiggles out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, 13-year-old boys. So these exercises were designed to like for them. So that's interesting. That's an interesting like background note who these
Yeah.
poses were
Okay.
originally developed for. And
Mm-hmm.
then like as yoga came to the West, like it has largely been propagated by men. The most of the like teachers of yoga who are well known, famous are male teachers. Now that is definitely evolving.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, but so a lot of men like in leadership roles, but then most classes are full of women. So it's kind of this like there are lots of components to consider. But like social media would have you believe, it requires you to be young because you're more flexible. Then it requires you to be super bendy so that you can get into these complex poses. And I think we have dispelled this myth several times. Like yoga is accessible. Yoga is absolutely for everyone, like no matter the body that you're in, even if you have limited mobility, even if you don't have the ability to stand up. There are yoga poses for literally everyone. There's breath work for literally everyone. There's meditation that anyone can do. So, it's kind of like, are we thinking of yoga as like really challenging arm balances, or are we thinking of yoga as this like practice to be a better person, to be more in tune with your body and your breath, to as a practice to be more calm, And so hopefully you can kind of wrap your mind around a way in which yoga could work for you, whether
Yes.
or not you're a bendy young person.
And I could be an oldie. Could we have oldie oldie bendy persons? Yes.
Totally. Well,
Absolutely.
so we have, I think something I think we do really well at One Tree Yoga is, our teachers. We have sort of a wide range of ages and all sorts of like walks of life for our teachers. So we can kind of represent, like, it's like somebody
Hmm.
walks in the studio and they're like, oh, hey, my teacher, like, is 60 years old and like she's been doing this for forever. And if she can do yoga, I can do yoga. And it's also why we started, our beginner series and our seniors classes, just so that they're sort of feeling represented. But like Gabe said, we kind of we love it when it's like, really, we can find something for everybody, and this is what we want to do.
And then, well, some people will say, well, I can't afford yoga. It's too expensive. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of goes back to Gabe's answer about like, I don't have time. I think ultimately we
We
sort of
all.
prioritize and what we
Hmm.
what we value. And so, we try to make it as affordable as possible while still keeping up with, what's going on in the economy and other studios. And we have to be able to keep our doors open. But we find that most people, if they find something that's important for them to do, then they're going to find a way to make it work. I mean, I started yoga when I was in high school, but when I was in grad school, I had like no money, and I was cleaning the yoga studio on trade. So I was like
Hey? Yeah, you
cleaning the
told me
mirrors
that
after
before.
class so that I could
Hmm.
practice. And so, point being, like, there are ways, I think, to make it work, and hopefully, people will sort of find value in it, and that will make sense. Maybe you skip a Starbucks around that week so you can go to class.
Yep. And another positive, though, is the fact that you could also do yoga. It's so convenient now at any time because you have these classes taped, right? People can
Yep,
log in and view a class. If they couldn't make it at 7 p.m. because they're working, they could do it at 9. They could
exactly.
do it at 5 in the morning. It gives you that much flexibility, more freedom, I'd say.
And it's that, and also it's partly why we started the YouTube channel. Like Gabe said, we liked being able to offer various lengths because a
Hmm.
little bit of yoga is better than no yoga. But it's also a way to access, there's a lot of free content out there, and be discerning, of course, about what is maybe quality and not.
Yeah,
But that's partly why we started the YouTube channel, was so that there were options for people where financially,
true.
maybe it was not always an option to get to pay for classes as much as they would like. So there is so much more of that now, that yoga is much more mainstream, and we have the internet and we have all this stuff that wasn't always a thing for a long time.
Got it. And also, just to point out again, how do we reach you? OneTreeYoga.com is a great place to start. Just remind us, Gabe, Allison, who we're talking to, and how we can reach out to you, and all the ways that we can access the yoga classes.
Yep. So, like you said, onetreeyoga.com is our website. We have, lots of information on there. So I always tell people, start there. You can read about what are our class styles. You can see our schedule, our pricing. You can read about all of our teachers and kind of their biographies. Our email address is on there. That's also a
Hmm.
great way if you have specific questions, info@onetreeyoga.com. And then, of course, you can check out our YouTube channel, or find us on Facebook or Instagram. So we're all over.
Now, some people also may say, I don't have the right wardrobe. And I don't even know what that means. Do you need tight fitting form clothing? Could you do yoga in sweats and whatever? People might say, oh, the clothing might be too expensive. Looking for another excuse, maybe, or they're really intimidated or scared.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of both. So again, this kind of is like a social media thing where like you need to look a specific way in poses in order to be able to do yoga. And yoga clothes are not super cheap. They are highly functional, right? If you can afford to invest in them, they do the thing that they're supposed to do, but they're not always accessible to everyone. So some people will ask us like, what do I need to wear to class?
Yeah,
Really, it's about your ability to be comfort. So we say like not anything that's too loose because you're going to be moving around. You don't want to get
true.
caught up in your clothing,
Mhm.
but it doesn't have to be super tight either. Like I think what we see on social media is like very very tight form fitting clothes doesn't have to be that way. So sweats are fine. any exercise clothes are fine as long as you feel like you can freely move in them. There's no restriction and you feel comfortable. That's, the number one most important thing. Also, like now mats are so affordable and easy to get. You can get them at Target. You can get them
I
at
was going
Walmart.
to say Target. I see a lot of exercise stuff there. Yeah.
And you can even get, at this point, I think you can even get props at Target. You can get your own blocks. You can get, a yoga blanket. So there are, lots of
and
ways
Amazon,
to
let's be
acquire
honest,
the
whatever
gear.
brand
And
or company,
Amazon, of
it can
course.
come quick.
Always
Yeah,
Amazon.
right. It's like the new
Yeah.
go-to.
Be on your doorstep tomorrow. Your brand new yoga
That's
mat.
right.
It's true.
Hop on.
And I've heard that some people say that yoga makes you detached from reality. Is that true?
Yeah,
You,
I mean, we kind of get, I think the yoga, the sort of the stereotype yoga people were so like loosey goosey, kind of floating off into the ether. We're like so chill about everything, which is a little bit hilarious if you know me. But Gabe and I kind of make it our mission to be like the practical yogis that like you can be really like practical and grounded in reality and practice yoga. So I don't think that is true. Now I will say, with consistency and practice, yoga really does help deal with a lot of stress and, teaching you how to calm down and relax. And so in some ways, like maybe you do start to become less,
true.
anxious and stressed. And honestly, that's probably a good thing. But definitely not detached from reality. In fact, yoga, we really teach you to like be in the present moment and actually like be tuned into what actually is happening right now, whether it's good or bad. We practice contentment, but not being detached from like what's happening. In fact, we encourage you to like be very present to what is happening.
All right.
Now, we talked about last week, like what we learn on the mat as, can be life skills. And so, just like a situation that applies to the three of us is motherhood. And like you mentioned earlier, Jill, like the ability to kind of like not lose it on your kids is huge. Like you're tapping into that yoga ability to like take a deep breath, like chill, bring some calm into the situation. So the ability to be like slightly less reactionary can make it seem like you're detached, but really you're like using the skills that you acquired through practice.
More calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's funny because I haven't done yoga in so many years. I used to love going to the gym. I told you I gave a lot of that movement stuff up and I just started the movement again and then I broke my foot, which by the way, I'm moving around a lot because it's just trying to put it up here and there. So I apologize for all my movement today. Because it's the cast is a little too tight. So I'm putting it up on top of the tower and on the chair. But what was I saying? So I was excited to get back into movement a few weeks ago and I started to little by little. And there's just something about the way that I started to feel, I was feeling good, no matter what type of movement it is. But I actually said, because I spoke to you guys and I'm like, my girlfriend does yoga religiously and she always tries to get me. And I said, once I started this gym thing, I'm like, I'll get out, I'll make it one day, but I want to do an in-person class with her to go out, which is hard with the kids. But I'm vowing that I will get that in a few weeks when I'm out of this cast. I'm going to try it because there's so many amazing benefits to it. And everyone talks so highly of it. So why am I the only one out of the club? I want to be included in this exclusive yogi club. Again, not a cult, not a religion, but but why not try something? Because you know what? And if it's new to you, don't be scared. I'm ready. Well, soon.
Yeah, it feels good to feel good, and there's something about that then sort of keeps you going. It's like, I really feel good. I want to keep doing this thing that helps me feel good.
Oh, and what did you say to someone who may have tried it before, said, well, I tried it, I didn't like it? It's possible, but what about second chances? We give a lot in life second chances. Come on, why not?
Yeah, that's right.
I think there is a yoga teacher for everybody. So, if you tried it once and you didn't like it, it's possible that the style wasn't for you. It's possible that you didn't connect very well with the teacher. It's possible that it was too hard for you or, it was too easy for you. Like, I like the analogy of like, if you were test driving a car and you didn't like the first car you test drove, you wouldn't just not buy a car, right?
Yeah, true.
Keep trying. Yeah. So if you really want to experience the benefits of yoga and you've had an unpleasant experience or just like didn't really connect to it in the past, like give it another try another studio, try another teacher. give it 6 tries. If you give it 6 tries and you really don't like it, then you probably aren't ever going to like it. But once is not a great indication of if it's for you or not.
I actually just recently had a friend reach out to me, a friend that doesn't live in town with where we live, but she had said, like, I just did my first, she called it real yoga, which is silly. Like, I'm like, all yoga is real yoga. But she said, I had tried it so long ago and I didn't have a great experience. So I just sort of like brushed it off. And with that. And then I tried it again. And she was like, this one was great. And I was like, yeah, it's really about finding, what really works for you, and don't give up, because there's so much yoga out there, which I think is great. But that also means it just might be the case that it just wasn't the right fit, whether, like Gabe said, whether it's the teacher or the style or the studio or, whatever was happening. Like there's some teacher or some style out there for you.
That's all right. And give it a shot and give it a whirl. And again, especially if you're a beginner. And is there a specific class for beginners at your studio that you recommend, or could you join any class at any time? How does it work to make those maybe that, or do want to try something new today, especially on this Valentine's Day? Feel good about themselves going out with gals, the Galentines, or the significant other in their life. But no, really. So how does it work if someone does want to start?
Yep. So we do, like Gabe mentioned, we do have a beginner series that is online only. So that's something that you could sign up for. We're starting a new session here in March. So it's a 5-week series. So that would be something great to start in the comfort of your own home. But also you could join either in person or online, really almost any of our classes. We have most all level classes, and all of our teachers are very well trained, very well skilled, and being able to work with you and kind of help you modify and work with kind of whatever you're dealing with. So truly, you could really show up to any class, and it would be great.
Awesome. And in closing today, because I can't believe we have 2 minutes left. It always goes.
Time
You
flies.
guys are, but you guys are so awesome. You guys are so well put together. See, not everybody comes with notes. Not everybody comes prepared, and we just talk. And sometimes, but like you guys are so thorough, and I love that about you and your studio.
Thank
Clearly,
you.
your work, you put work and hard work and dedication into this. And just because we do have new listeners each and every week, just a little bit about your philosophy at One Tree Yoga. I know the two of you bonded and joined forces years ago and have been doing this, but anything that you want to share about yourselves, that could help us say, hey, I'm going to give One Tree Yoga a try.
Yeah, I would just like to say that Alison and I, as owners of the studio, we both really walk the walk. We are yogis in life, so we're not just yoga teachers. We are, yogis through and through. So we have dedicated our lives to this practice and to this business, and I think that it really shows in the way that we teach and the way that we create community.
Alison, do you want to leave us with anything?
Yeah. So I think, of course, check us out. There's ways to find us all over, whether you want to come in person or not. But yeah, see what you think. I think we have something to offer really anybody, and so we would love to connect.
Thank you so much.
We
and
also
on this
have
Valentine's Day, is there? Oh, go ahead. Is there any specials? Any promotions?
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of things coming up. I want to point out we've got a meditation series. Alison said we've got the beginner series, and then in March, Alison and I are offering a 1-day retreat at the studio, a whole day of yoga and learning and meditation, and lunch will be provided.
Oh, that's cool. A 1-day retreat. All right. I'm liking that. And by the way, do you guys do weekly retreats? Did you have one recently? Am I thinking of something else? Do you do a retreat, like a week-long retreat? Or is that something we've talked about?
We don't. We're sort of dipping our toe into that pond, which is we're starting with a day. I mean, eventually, probably, and we hope to do stuff, where people are traveling. And
I was going to say, where's is there like a yoga mecca of the United States? Let's just start there. I'm sorry if you're listening worldwide, but what's a place that all, yogis want to go to? Is there like a place that's really serene and amazing for meditation and for yoga? Is it like Arizona? I don't know.
There's the Kripalu Institute, which is on the East Coast. I think it's in Massachusetts or Connecticut.
Never heard of that.
There's also Esalen, which is Esalen is in California. It's like a remote, super fancy resort that you can go and do yoga all day by the ocean.
There are a lot of beautiful places. And then there's more and more, people are leading like international retreats, travel to Costa Rica, go to Italy, go to Greece. So, I mean, sky's the limit.
All right.
Well, thank you again. Yoga.
All right, Gabe,
All right,
Alison,
thanks.
Thanks,
OneTreeYoga.com.
Jill.
Check them out on social media. And thank you again for dispelling some of these myths today. And have a fantastic Valentine's Day to everyone. And looking forward to our next conversation.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.